Alright, the expectation of the Common Core is that you have mastered solving all types of linear equations that you should have learned during 8th grade. In this lesson, we're simply going to present a variety of linear equations for you to practice solving. So solve each of them. Keep in mind that this is what we were working on last class. So the first thing we need to do is add 7 to both sides. So now I have x divided by 3 equals 7. Sorry, just kidding. Add 7 to both sides. Goodness gracious. So then that would make this 5. Wow, the struggle is real. Now, in order to solve for x, we have to do the opposite of divide, so we're going to multiply. So x equals 15. Letter B, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So 4x equals negative 20, because negative 17 and negative 3 makes negative 20. Divide each side by 4, and x equals negative 5. Letter C, we're going to subtract 12 from each side. 5x now equals 75. Divide each side by 5, and x equals 15. Please keep in mind that you can pause at any time and practice these on your own if you'd like. All right, letter D. The difference between this one and the others is that it is already being divided, so we can't do anything with it until we get rid of the divided by 3. So we have to multiply both sides by 3. So now I have x plus 7 equals 6. Subtract 7 from each side, and x equals negative 1. It might help you to go back through and think about what's happening to x and when, and to do the opposite. So letter E, you can either do distributive property first, or we can look at what's happening first. Remember, x is subtracted by 1 and then multiplied by negative 6, so we do the opposite in the opposite order. So divide both sides by negative 6. So now x minus 1 equals negative 3. Add 1 to both sides, and x equals negative 2. And finally, subtract 2 from each side. 8x equals negative 4. Divide by 8, and x equals negative 1/2, because you do have to simplify to the smallest form. Last 3 for this one. Letter G, we're going to add 5 to both sides. So 3/4 of x equals 9. Notice how I said 3/4 of. Of means multiply. So to get rid of a fraction, you always multiply by its reciprocal. So we multiply by 4/3. So now x equals, well, 9 times 4 is 36, divided by 3 is 12. Letter H, subtract 6 from each side. Negative 5 over 2x equals negative 5. Multiply each side by negative 2/5. And you will see that a negative times a negative is a positive. 5 times 2 is 10. Divide by 5 is 2. And last one, subtract 3 from both sides. 6x equals negative 4. Divide by 6. And x equals negative 2/3, because you do need to put it in its simplest form. For most of what we do the rest of the way, you'll be using the distributive property as well as others to solve for problems. Don't forget the primary technique of solving by reversing the operations that have been done to the variables. So, solve for x by identifying the operations that have been done and then reversing them. So, the first thing that happened to x was subtracted 3. Next was multiplied by 5. Next was divided by 8. Then 2 was added. So we need to reverse them. So I have 5 times x minus 3 divided by 8 plus 2 equals 7. So we go backwards. Instead of add 2, we're going to subtract 2 from each side. So 5 times x minus 3 over 8 equals 5. Next, instead of divided by 8, we're going to multiply by 8. So we're going to do the opposite. So 5 times x minus 3 equals 40. And instead of timesing by 5, we're going to divide by 5. And I'm going to have to move it over here. So x minus 3 equals 8. And instead of subtracting 3, we're going to add 3. So x equals 11. Now that we've done that, we're going to move on to the more problems where the technique is used, but only towards the end. We also need to review how to solve problems where the variable shows up more than once. So by using the distributive property, write equivalent expressions for both sides of the equation. So we have 5 times x minus 3 plus 2x equals 4 times x plus 3. So 5 times x is 5x, 5 times negative 3 is negative 15, plus 2x equals 4 times x is 4x, 4 times 3 is 12. We need to combine like terms. So 5x and 2x make 7x minus 15 equals 4x plus 12. So we're going to take this equation and we are going to solve. So 7x minus 15 equals 4x plus 12. We're going to solve this. So subtract 4x from both sides. And 3x minus 15 equals 12. Add 15. So 3x equals 27. Divide by 3. So x equals 9. If you were to plug 9 back into the original problem, let's see what that would look like. So we're going to plug 9 in here. So it's going to be 5 times, 9 minus 3 is 6, plus 2 times 9 is 18. Is that equal to 4 times, what is 9 plus 3? That's 12. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 plus 18 is 48. And 4 times 12 is 48. So yes, 9 works. We're going to get some more practice on these more complicated equations. Check that your final answer makes the equation true. So use a distributive property when needed. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Even though this says minus 3, that is a negative 3. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15 plus 1x. Combine like terms. 7x and negative 3x is 4x. Negative 14 and negative 9 becomes negative 23. 5x plus 1x is 6x minus 15. We need to move the variables to one side. So negative 23 equals 2x minus 15. Now we need to move the constants to the other side. So 2x equals negative 8. Divide each side by 2, and x equals negative 4. Next one, 9. So negative 6x minus 6. 2x minus 8 plus 27. Combine like terms. So 3 minus 6x equals 2x plus 19. Add 6x to both sides. So 3 equals 8x plus 19. Subtract 19 from both sides. So negative 16 equals 8. X divide by 8, and x equals negative 2.